What is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over some important console Fortnite building and editing techniques that you need to master. All of the techniques that we're going to cover in this video aren't super advanced on the surface, and that's why they're great things to practice for console players, but the difference between good and great players is being able to do them quickly and without messing up. And to prove that, throughout the video, I'll show some clips of top controller players executing the techniques perfectly, and that should sort of give you guys a visual example to reference. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so the first technique that we're going to cover in this video is editing and branching out of a 1x1 while under pressure. Now, as I alluded to a couple of seconds ago, on the surface, that may sound really simple and easy. I mean, unless you just started playing Fortnite a few weeks ago, you can probably edit out of a 1x1 with ease and then build a new 1x1. That's definitely nothing groundbreaking. However, as some of you guys may have experienced throughout your Fortnite career, when your front wall is being sprayed at by one or maybe even multiple players, you basically have one chance to get that escape edit right, because obviously you can't edit out and hold your wall at the same time, so when you go for that escape edit, you're basically letting your enemy get a free pass inside your box. So if you mess that escape edit up, now you have a player with an SMG or shotgun barrel pressed right against your body, and you're not even facing them because you probably tried to edit out the side, top, or bottom. Plus, it's not only that you just get one chance at editing, that chance is also time restricted. Most smart players will go for their escape edit when the enemy sprayed a full clip into their front wall and now they need to reload before they start spraying the next clip, but the average reload time for an SMG or AR in Fortnite is roughly 2 seconds, so if you're a slow editor, you may not even be able to finish your escape edit before they're inside your box and spraying you down. So if you watch the top controller players, they can edit out a one box and create a new one in about 3 seconds, which is just insane compared to the average player. Also, what's really important is being able to escape edit and branch out multiple times in a row from many different angles. Good players are plain and simple not gonna let you get away by just editing and branching out one time. They're gonna keep pushing and pressuring you from multiple different angles. So if you edit and branch out perfectly the first 2 times, but then on the third one you mess up and the enemy has enough time to spray into your box, all you really did there was delay your death a few seconds. Now luckily, this is something that's actually pretty easy to practice. All you have to do is hop into creative mode and just edit and branch out over and over again while focusing on speed and consistency. Also, make sure to vary the escape edits you do. Edit out the left side wall, then the right side wall, then edit out of the top, etc, etc. That'll make you much more comfortable escaping no matter which angle you're being pressured from. The next important technique that you need to master is ramp flipping. Let me describe a common box fighting situation that gets players killed all the time. You're chilling in your 1x1 with a ramp in front of you pointed towards one of your walls, but then an enemy sprays through a different wall, you panic, he gets into your box, and since the ramp isn't protecting you at all since it's facing the wrong direction, you end up dying. Being able to instantly edit your ramp towards whatever direction you need it to be in is a really important skill that all pro players are able to do with ease. They can make a ramp that's facing towards the left side of their box face towards the right side of their box without even thinking, and they do the edit so quickly in one smooth flick that you'd barely be able to tell what happened if you were watching them. Luckily, this is probably the easiest technique to practice on the entire list. It really is as simple as just going into creative mode, placing a ramp in front of you inside a 1x1, and then just practice flipping it in any given direction. Now, editing your ramp as a defensive tool in box fights is definitely the most common use, and it's also what I'd recommend most players focus on. However, if you get really good at flipping ramps, you can even use them offensively in a lot of situations as well. That's definitely a more advanced tactic, so don't worry about that too much, but just thought I'd mention it because it's something you'll see pros do fairly frequently. The next technique that you need to master is blocking off and editing down on an enemy who's ramping up for high ground. This is a technique that good players use all the time to easily kill enemies that are trying to take their high ground, and it's actually fairly simple. As the name kind of suggests, if you can get directly above an enemy who's ramping up, you want to place a structure on top of their ramp to block them and then edit through that structure and shoot them. This works because when players get blocked off while ramping up, their initial reaction is almost always to either turn fully around or at least turn to the side, and then they'll start ramping in that direction, which obviously isn't blocked off. So most of the time when you block them off and then edit through, they won't even be looking at you, which not only makes the shot super easy to hit, but it also makes it so that you don't have to fear them shooting you. Now when it comes to the block off itself, some players will only build a floor or cone, while other players will build a floor and cone. The reason you would build both is because it makes it a lot harder for the enemy to spray through it and then keep going forward, but in my opinion, not too many people actually do that, so I'd probably recommend placing either the floor or cone instead of both, because it makes the technique a lot easier to execute. Moving on to our next technique, we have replacing a structure and editing it in one motion. This is another one of those really subtle differences between players that are just pretty good at Fortnite and players that are great. When most people go to break and replace a wall and then try an offensive play, they basically make it a two-step process. They'll get the wall, pause about half a second as it kinda registers in their brain that it's their wall now, and then they'll make some kind of an edit and go for a shot. When you watch the best controller players, on the other hand, they've managed to eliminate that slight pause between getting the structure and editing it from their game entirely. So here's how I think they've managed to do that. One thing you may notice if you specifically look for it is that a lot of the great controller players will make the motion of an edit each time they try to take a wall, even if they don't get it. They basically assume that they're going to get the wall each time they go for it, so they're already making the motion of the edit, and that's how they eliminate that pause from their game. It's kind of like how in basketball they say if you want to be a great rebounder, you need to assume that every shot is going to be a miss. This is another one of those techniques that I think should be fairly easy to practice on your own. Simply place a wall down and just pretend it's an enemy's, then practice breaking it, replacing it, and editing it all in one smooth motion. Now, unless you're a mechanical god, you'll probably never be as fast and smooth with this as guys like Lecce and Wolfies are, but at the end of the day, that's totally fine because increasing your speed at all will really help you win more fights. The next technique that's super important to learn is being able to combine multiple simple building techniques to rotate safely in awkward situations. That's definitely a bit of a mouthful, but I think the clip in the background from Assault will showcase what I mean by this. So in this clip, he was in a really stacked endgame and had to rotate almost max distance at a weird angle, and along the way he was getting shot at multiple different times. Because of that, it pretty much wasn't possible in that situation for him to just do a standard tunnel forward to get into zone. Because of that, throughout the duration of the clip, you'll see him sort of chain together a bunch of different building techniques to change direction and to change height multiple different times. In the span of about 40 seconds, which is the length of the clip, he did 2 to 3 different types of tunnels, he does some protected ramping to high ground, he drops down to low or mid ground and boxes up for a second. It was just a really nice display of easily doing something that a lot of people would really struggle with. Just knowing how to tunnel in a straight line will be enough for a lot of situations that you get into, but you also need to be able to take it a step further than that and quickly switch between the different protected methods of rotating when the situation calls for it. Again, this is a really easy thing to practice in creative mode, and it doesn't really require a ton of mechanical skill, more so just quick thinking and being able to stay comprised under pressure. Try to basically imagine yourself in a situation where you need to rotate at a tough angle and you can't stop at all or else you'll get lasered. These type of makeshift rotations will definitely feel a little awkward at first, but the truth of the matter is, no matter how mechanically gifted you are, that's the way it feels in real games. So if you don't prepare for it at all, it's going to be pretty rough for you when the real thing happens. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down in the comment section below. Out of all all the different building techniques that we discussed in this video, let me know either which one you're the best at or struggle with the most. Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.